Once upon a time in America, gardens were more than decorations. They were the heartbeat of daily life. They fed families, brought neighbors together, and told stories about who we were. Today, many of those features have quietly faded away, replaced by modern conveniences, but their charm and purpose still whisper through memories. From backyard pump wells to kitchen garden walkways, these 10 forgotten treasures remind us of a simpler, more connected way of living, and why bringing them back could enrich our gardens, our communities, and even our hearts. Feature number 1, hand pump wells. Before the twist of a faucet or the pull of a hose, gardens were nourished by the steady rhythm of a hand pump well. It wasn't just a water source, it was the garden's heartbeat. The handle creaked, the pump groaned, and then, cool, clear water would gush forth, tasting like the earth itself. On sweltering summer days, children would gather around, cupping their hands for a drink so refreshing it seemed to wash away the heat. For many, that first splash on the lips is a memory that has never faded. Hand pump wells were more than functional. They encouraged community. Neighbors would chat as they filled buckets, children would play nearby, and the pump's sturdy presence reminded everyone that self-reliance was a skill worth keeping. Today, few homes still have them, but adding a hand pump, even for decorative or backup purposes, can connect you to that same heritage. Modern versions are easier to install than you might think, and they make a charming, practical feature for gardens, especially in rural or off-grid areas. Did you ever pump your own water in the garden? Share your memories below and tell us, what did it taste like? In the 1940s, America faced food shortages as resources were sent overseas to support the war effort. The answer? Victory gardens, nearly 20 million of them. Front yards, backyards, schoolyards, and even city parks were transformed into rows of beans, carrots, tomatoes, and leafy greens. Planting wasn't just about feeding your family. It was an act of patriotism. Every seed sown was a quiet declaration, we will do our part. For many, these gardens became a source of pride and community. Neighbors swapped seeds, traded harvests, and shared tips on composting and pest control. Children learned how to tend plants, watching food grow from the soil they had helped turn. Fresh produce meant fewer trips to the store, more self-sufficiency, and a deeper connection to the land. Though wartime has passed, the spirit of the Victory Garden is worth reviving. Planting even a small plot or a few pots on a balcony can lower your grocery bill, improve your diet, and bring a sense of accomplishment. And in uncertain times, knowing you can feed yourself and your loved ones is a victory of its own. Do you remember your family planting during wartime or rationing years? Share your story. It's a piece of living history. Feature number 3, cold frames. Long before plastic sheeting and store-bought greenhouses, gardeners relied on cold frames to stretch the growing season. Simple yet ingenious, these low, box-like structures were often built from scrap lumber and old glass windows, angled to catch the sun's rays. Inside, seedlings stayed warm against early frosts, and tender greens thrived well into winter. In those days, a cold frame wasn't just a tool. It was a promise that fresh food could be coaxed from the earth, even when the air turned sharp. For many, building a cold frame was a family project. A father might hammer the frame together, a mother fit the salvaged glass, and the children fill it with dark, rich soil. Each time the lid was lifted to check the plants, a little wave of warm, fragrant air would escape, the scent of growth, hope, and patience. Today, cold frames are making a quiet comeback among home gardeners who want to extend harvests naturally. They're inexpensive to build, highly efficient, and can be customized from recycled materials. Whether you want early lettuce in spring or herbs in the chill of late fall, a cold frame can make it happen without electricity or costly setups. Have you ever built a cold frame from scratch? Share your tips or stories. Your experience might inspire the next gardener to give it a try. Feature number 4, clothesline bean poles. In frugal times, nothing went to waste, not even the clothesline. Many gardeners simply let climbing beans share the same space where laundry flapped in the breeze. A sturdy pole or rope for drying clothes became a perfect trellis, and the two purposes lived side by side without fuss. Shirts and sheets swayed overhead while green vines curled upward, heavy with pods. It was a simple, efficient solution that blended work, beauty, a necessity in one small corner of the yard. This wasn't just about saving money, it was a mindset. People understood that the garden was part of daily life, not separate from it. Every structure had to earn its keep, and if something could serve two purposes, all the better. The clothesline bean pole was a reminder that creativity often grows in times of need. Today, with a little imagination, the same spirit can thrive. Trellises can be fashioned from ladders, old fence panels, or even discarded bed frames. By rethinking what's already in your shed or garage, you save resources, add character to your garden, and carry on a tradition of ingenuity. What's the most creative thing you've repurposed in your garden? Share your ideas, they might just inspire someone else to see their junk in a whole new way. Feature number 5, garden root cellars. Long before the hum of refrigerators, root cellars stood quietly at the edge of farms and homesteads, guarding the bounty of the harvest. Built from stone or carved into cool earth, these underground storage rooms were nature's refrigerator, holding potatoes, carrots, turnips, apples, and rows of jars filled with summer's preserves. Step inside, and the air was always damp and cool, carrying the scent of soil, wood, and stored abundance. For many families, the root cellar was a lifeline through winter. It meant there would be hearty stews in January, fresh apples in February, and a taste of summer jam when snow still blanketed the ground. Children would remember trips down the wooden steps, lantern in hand, to fetch what was needed for supper, the shelves stacked, like treasure chests of survival. While fewer homes have root cellars today, their value is timeless. They cost nothing to run, preserve food naturally, and offer security in times of supply disruptions. Modern gardeners can recreate them with insulated outdoor sheds, buried barrels, or even basement modifications. In an age of rising costs and unpredictable seasons, reviving the root cellar mindset is both practical and rewarding. Do you still have a working root cellar? We'd love to hear about it. Your story might inspire someone to build their own. Feature number 6, rain barrels. There was a time when every drop of water mattered. Rain barrels stood quietly under the eaves, catching the gift of the sky. When storms rolled through, the steady drumming on the roof was more than just a sound. It was the promise of life for the garden. That collected rainwater, cool and soft, was poured into rows of vegetables, flower beds, and thirsty fruit trees without wasting a single drop. For frugal families, rain barrels meant lower water bills and less dependence on the well or town supply. In dry spells, they could mean the difference between a thriving harvest and a wilting one. Children learned to place the barrels just right, clean them out each season, and sometimes even cover them with wooden lids to keep out leaves and curious critters. Today, the wisdom of catching rain is more relevant than ever. Modern rain barrels come in decorative designs that blend into the garden, and even a single barrel can provide gallons of free, chemical-free water for plants. In regions facing drought or water restrictions, it's a simple way to stay sustainable and self-reliant, just like generations before us. Have you ever used rainwater for your plants? Share your experiences, your tips might help someone else start their own rain barrel tradition. Feature number 7, herb spirals and kitchen gardens. Before grocery stores stocked every ingredient year-round, the kitchen garden was the true pantry. Just steps from the back door, it held the essentials: herbs for seasoning, greens for supper, vegetables for tomorrow's stew. You could lean out the door, scissors in hand, and be back at the stove in minutes with parsley, chives, or fresh lettuce. It wasn't about beauty. It was about convenience, flavor, and self-reliance. In some homes, herb spirals, cleverly stacked stones or bricks in a spiral shape, made the most of small spaces, creating microclimates for different plants. The top, sunny and dry, was perfect for rosemary or thyme. The lower, cooler spots kept mint and basil happy. These gardens were proof that with a little ingenuity, even the smallest yard could produce a wide variety of fresh food. Today, reviving a kitchen garden is as easy as setting aside a corner of the yard or a few pots on a sunny patio. Not only does it save trips to the store, but the flavor of freshly snipped herbs or greens simply can't be matched. Whether you live in a country farmhouse or an apartment balcony, having food within arm's reach is both practical and deeply satisfying. If you had to grow just 3 herbs, what would they be? Share your picks. You might give another gardener their next favorite plant. Feature number 8, arbors and trellises covered in grapevines. Once, a grape arbor was more than a garden feature. It was a living room under the sky. Thick vines wound their way up sturdy trellises, leaves forming a cool, dappled canopy overhead. In summer, clusters of sweet grapes dangled within reach, their scent mingling with the warm air. Families would sit beneath the shade on hot afternoons, talking, shelling peas, or simply watching the day drift by. It was as much a part of home life as the porch swing or the kitchen table. Grape arbors brought more than comfort. They offered harvests of fruit for fresh eating, juice, or homemade jelly. The vines came back year after year, stronger and more abundant, rewarding the care given in pruning and training them. For children, running through the arbor was like passing into another world, cool, green, and full of promise. Today, a trellis or arbor can still transform a garden space into a retreat. Grapes aren't the only option. Climbing roses, wisteria, beans, or even cucumbers can create the same charm and function. A simple wooden frame or metal arch, placed thoughtfully, can offer shade, beauty, and food all at once. What was growing over your favorite garden spot? Share your memories. They might inspire someone to plant their own shaded haven. Feature number 9, Mason jar lanterns. On warm summer nights, nothing set the mood quite like the soft glow of mason jar lanterns. A simple candle flickering inside glass turned an ordinary evening into something magical. Hung from tree branches, lined along a garden path, or set on a porch railing, they cast a warm, golden light that made every conversation feel more intimate, every breeze more gentle. For children, those jars often held a different kind of light, the tiny, blinking lanterns of fireflies. We'd cup them carefully in our hands, then watch them dance inside the glass, blinking like stars we could hold. And of course, we always let them go, releasing them back into the night sky. Those moments were pure summer, simple, fleeting, and unforgettable. Mason jar lanterns are still a timeless way to add beauty to your outdoor space. Today, you can use LED tea lights for safety, or even solar lids that charge by day and glow by night. Whether for a backyard gathering or a quiet evening alone, they're a small touch that carries a big feeling. Fireflies, did you catch them as a child? Share your stories below. Your memories might just spark someone else to bring back a little light of their own. Feature number 10, community garden swaps. Long before farmers markets became a weekend outing, there were community garden swaps. Neighbors would gather with baskets of their surplus. Cucumbers traded for corn, beans swapped for berries, each exchange sealed with a smile and often a good story. These swaps weren't about profit. They were about sharing abundance, reducing waste, and strengthening the bonds between people who worked the same soil. Every swap was a little celebration. Someone might arrive with the first ripe tomatoes of the season, another with jars of homemade jam, and someone else with flowers just to brighten another gardener's day. Recipes were exchanged as often as produce, and friendships grew as surely as the crops. For children, it was a lesson in generosity and the joy of community. Today, garden swaps can still thrive in backyards, community centers, or even online groups. They're a way to diversify what's on your table without spending extra, while meeting people who share your love for growing things. You don't have to have a huge harvest, even a handful of herbs, seeds, or seedlings can start a conversation and spark a connection. What's the best thing you've ever traded from your garden? Share your story, you might inspire someone else to bring back this beautiful tradition. These traditions weren't just about plants, they were about people. They taught us connection, resilience, and how to find joy in the simplest moments. Somewhere along the way, many of them faded, but maybe now is the time to bring them back, not just for nostalgia's sake, but for the richness they add to our lives today. Which of these do you remember most? Share your story in the comments. Your memories are part of this living history. Pass this video along to a fellow gardener who would smile at these traditions. And don't forget to subscribe to the Evergreen Seniors, where every memory plants a seed for the future.